Wouldn't be ours. You know, because of our issues, we can open it up so much as all that stuff. We just can't get it. So we have a workshop to avoid us having this call, but you know, we're gonna do it like that. If we have time. Have the shared knowledge. You can either do a roll call, or the shared knowledge. That's what typically happens in shared knowledge. We've gone to roll call at TDC, but I'm not sure when that started. Was it about 3.5 years? We just have a shared knowledge. And that's legally sufficient. The chair can acknowledge because it's his own duty to stop from since it's his duty to determine we can let him make that conditions. But all the chair takes is when I do this, I'll save us a staff all that. Church on the road, leaving us. Well, that's how.
Film the wall, it's so much better.
You got a pedestal or something.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Cameron, I take it.
Carmen.
Carmen. All right.
You're on the very end down there. Joshua.
What's your name there?
I answer the bed.
C.
It is because they're late, so it takes a few seconds to get caught
All
up.
the introductions.
Yeah, it's still trying to get caught up, so give it just a second and I'll send it up here. Yeah, it should stop.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2016-2017 Destination Improvement Committee Sessions. I'm Brian Kellenberg, Director of Beach Operations, and liaison as the TDC staff member to this committee. Thank you all for your commitment, previous commitments, and new commitments. And before we get started, Mr. Chairman, if you'll give us a quorum call, we have 6 of the 9 members here. That's all. Good. All right. Appreciate it. Just some introductions here. Like I say, I'm Brian Kellenberger. This is Josh Irvin. He's our beach maintenance manager. He has got directs all our crews keeping the beaches clean. This is Clay Atkinson. He is the TDC legal counsel. Stacy Infinger is our office manager in our beach maintenance warehouse here on Highway 83. Lisa Foster is the office manager here at TDC Visitor Center. And I appreciate if we can start on this side of the room. You can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in destination improvement.
I'm Carmen Cavanaugh. I've lived here about 3 years, and I manage a property maintenance business from here. I've always been involved civically, and I haven't been since I moved here, and I was interested in what the TDC does.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Branch McClendon, I've been here 12 years or so, my 4th or 5th year on this committee, contractor.
Hi, my name is Andy McAlexander, and I live in Port Washington. I'm a realtor and property manager in town, and I am on this committee because I enjoy being a part of this community and trying to shape the future of how we are.
Good morning, my name is Rick Calder. I'm the fire chief here at South Point Fire District, and I previously served on a committee similar to this. It's the former beach management committee, but I thought it would be useful. We're always interested in providing a safe and secure environment for our citizens and visitors, so anything we can contribute to that process and learn a little bit more about what's going on out there in the community. Also provide information on what we're doing as well, so it's helpful. So glad to be here.
Excellent. Appreciate it.
Jackie Markell. I was on the committee during the last term, and I am TDC, since we are a tourist-based economy, is a really strong influence in what happens in our community. And I think community input is vital to a strong government.
My name is Bob Sullivan. I'm a long-term resident of Walton County, but I've only really lived here about 10 years. I spent 35 years prior to that living in Europe. I'm a retired military, Air Force, and spent the rest of my time in Germany and working as a government contractor. We retired here because we were flying an airplane one day down the coast and we saw that beach and we landed and never left.
Awesome.
This is my second tour on this committee. My first tour was a short one. I filled in for somebody who just left the area. And I'm also a member of the Code Enforcement Board.
Yeah, appreciate it. We have a few members that aren't here today. Kurt Tate, he is a local business owner, has a bed and breakfast, active citizen in our community. Mary Lou Maris, local realtor, and Lee Moore, who works for the Howard Group and also very active in making our destination a better place. So they had excused absence today for either being sick or having previous commitment to being out of town. And we'll leave today, but we expect them back here the rest of the time. I hope you had a chance to read through the application when you submitted it. We appreciate your commitment, and we hope that you honor it. And if you can't, give me a call, let's discuss it, and come to a fair agreement of how you can make it, or just go ahead and decide that we can get somebody else. So, our mission, back you have in front of you. There's a mission statement. I'm going to read it verbatim, and we can discuss it a little bit. Destination Improvement Committee, mission statement. Walton County Tourist Development Council, Destination Improvements Committee will assist and provide the Walton County Tourist Development Council in the areas of capital improvement projects, visitor center renovation, signage, safety, parks, and paths. The committee will begin a long-term commitment to residents and visitors by implementing a plan that will bring our beaches and beach-associated amenities back to the level of quality unsurpassed by any other beach destination in the world. The committee will also provide input to assist the Walton County Tourist Development Council in pursuing effective spending of tourist development taxes for beach improvements. So, what does that mean? As you're well aware, we have 8 regional beach accesses. Those are our large beach accesses, restrooms, parking lots. Then we have 52 neighborhood beach accesses, which are typically a boardwalk, dune walkover, bike racks. Some of them have observation decks, men's showers, and all that. We also have a couple of bay accesses that we maintain, as well as a couple of bayside parks. We have the multi-use path that runs down 38, Scenic Gulf Drive, and also a couple of our north-south spurs, 395, 283, Parkway up 83, Allen Loop, Thompson Road, and that gets long. So our task is to talk about and come up with ideas to improve and effectively maintain our existing amenities, identify new areas where we can improve our destination. It's basically designed around what we call our public space. So last 2 years, we came up with several good projects. One of them is our bike rack project, as you see right here. We're in the last stages of installing all those. If you've been out in our community at our beach accesses, you've probably seen them. We started with a pilot project, and then we got to go ahead and do the rest of them. We identified the access we're going to put in there. We now identified a few more, so we'll probably do another round of this year and continue with that project. Another one was the Coastal Dune Sign project that was actually started a long time before this committee got reactivated 2 years ago. And we have about half of those in, and have got the green light for the remainder 8. Environmental department with Public Works has kind of spearheaded the design of that. And the Gates has done a terrific job with the previous signs, and so she'll bring the preliminary designs back to us at the next meeting. Part of the information will be disseminated before then. She's had her hands full during the holidays, but she's back in the saddle on that. Another big project we have right now is our public space design charrette. We hired a consulting firm to conduct this charrette. They have produced a survey. If you have not done the survey, you can go to the link on our website. It'll take you right to it. I think it takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And the more people we can get to do that, the more information the consulting engineer has to put together, come back to us with a series of workshops to be scheduled in the near future, where there'll be other workshops, more input, and the result we want to work with is a design guideline of how to add more amenities to our public spaces, to make the public spaces we have uniform to a certain extent, be within the brand standards, and elevate, our public spaces into more of a resort community type atmosphere. So if you have trouble getting to it, contact Stacy. She can put you, she can send you the link on our website, visit South Walton. You can look at the bottom, take you right to it. The other projects we have are, we're currently undergoing a couple of multi-use path realignments. We're adding some bridges. The biggest project we have is our Western Lake Bridge project. It's a realignment of the bike path on the north side of the road and adding the steel bridges we have in our other coastal lakes across Western Lake. Then reconnect to the multi-use path at Watercolor. I have a couple of stormwater projects that are on the east and west side of 395. There will also be some landscape improvements, but if you're familiar with those areas, we have some of those spots on each side. The east side 395, Public Works Engineering Department is doing the design and permitting for it. We're 95% done with design and we're in the permitting phase. There is a little bit of hold up on the east side of it because the county has now decided to go ahead and move forward with a roadway realignment improvement for that intersection right there. The previous BCC meeting, the Public Works Department was given to go ahead and come up with a conceptual design, introduce it to BCC, and start that process. So,
Does that include moving the multi-use path to the south side of the road?
we do not know yet. Right now, there's several different options that have been suggested. So the process will go, engineering will come up with a couple different conceptual designs presented to BCC. That will probably more likely morph into a public workshop. And so we get proper citizen input and come up with the best design that reduces, minimizes the congestion problems at that intersection. So stay tuned.
Which meeting was that approved at? Was that recently?
I have to go back and look, but it was probably the first December
Okay,
meeting,
December.
and it might have been the first November meeting. But it was the first December meeting.
So then that should be coming up soon.
Yes, ma'am.
And can I also ask what the update is on the Western Lake Bridge start date?
We don't have that information handy with me. I have failed to contact Cliff after the holidays.
Okay.
Before we left, there were a few issues with the state that they're working out to get started. And I have not seen the RFP go out, but I wasn't specifically looking for it.
Okay.
So I'll contact Cliff.
Okay.
And,
We did have that.
and then we have submitted to central portion the FY16 budget. We had about $2 million approved for what we call capital improvement projects for our neighborhood beach accesses and new beach accesses. We have identified 23 of the neighborhood beach accesses that we're going to do what I call a facelift. It's a deck and handrail replacement. We've got some information to central purchasing to engage our contingent revolving engineering services pool. And so that'll go to design and permit here this month. We expect to have that back for BCC for approval in the February meeting, Josh. All right. And then RFP for construction will go out, provided the BCC approves that cost for design and permitting. Then the RFP for construction will go out, and we expect to do this construction work in between spring break and the start of the summer season. We also have two new, what I call improvements to unimproved beach accesses that we've done. One of them is 7th Avenue. It's down in the Sea Highlands subdivision, just east of 395. We previously had a beach access there. When I say beach access, we got a boardwalk and do walkover. And I'm not sure which storm it was, but it was over 2000. The boardwalk and do walkover got knocked out, and for whatever reason, it's decided not to replace it. We have 3 other in that same vicinity with each block. However, it was identified as one to be improved, so that one will also be going for design and permitting and then RFP for construction. More than likely, we will start it after the summer season, September, October. Design and permitting will probably take as long as it will require that we don't, or construction will be during the summer, we don't really like doing that. We'll assess it and see. The other one is Walton Dunes. It is a 2.3 acre piece of land we own in Lake Shore subdivision, or Lakewood subdivision down here. And currently it is one of our beach access points where we get our beach maintenance and code enforcement trucks on off the beach. It is a former BLM land that the county was granted, and so we have plans to put in the neighborhood beach access, which once again will be a boardwalk and walkover, shower, black grass, and all that. So those are the main projects we have. Our task is to come up with more projects to help improve our destination. Obviously, most of it is centered around the beach. We have some main accesses. A couple of NRDA projects we're working on. Then kayak launch on East Mitchell Drive, over in Point Washington area. Union Bay Drive, 283 North, East Mitchell's last road on the right, and a piece of land there is bayfront. And we were granted some money through the NRDA Phase 2, John, Phase 3? Phase 3, FEEP sponsored project. They're handling all design, permitting, and construction. We are acting as owner user representative.
What does that begin?
We're in the design permit process right now. That particular piece of land had some areas identified that it might have some archaeological significance, so we have to do an archaeological study on it.
Are they going to keep the gates on it locked?
The design, the conceptual design for it is 6 parking spaces. It's a small lot on the bay, probably.
Right next to my house, or right down.
Yeah. So what will be, it'll be similar to the park we have, what we call the catalog property, where there is a man gate and there's a service gate. For some reason, the service gate got left open last year. It's now closed, except for service personnel. So the thing is we have parking spaces, and you will have to carry your canoe and kayak down to the small, canoe and kayak launch pier. Yes, it'll be, park is maintained by us, and we hope to get back to catalog property and I was going to back a little first with the Hayden.
Yeah, that's a
Legion.
I'm going to buy it.
Legal. Yeah.
It's, if you go down, it's like right off, what is that?
East Mitchell.
East Mitchell, and what's the cross street that comes up? It's Juniper.
Dawson.
It's at Dawson.
I think it's Dawson that comes down from Point Washington Road.
No, there's that house at Dawson. It's
If you came down Dawson, you got to jog about 3 or 4 lots over back to the west. That's right. Anyway, if you go down 83, 283.
It's open. It's between Oak and Juniper.
Okay.
It's not Dawson.
Yeah, there's several roads back in there.
Do you know anything about the Angelo's parcel that is?
My understanding, we decided not to pursue it because the asking price was about twice what the appraised value was, and it was pending foreclosure. Apparently,
No, it's down in,
Lakewood, it's right next to Sugar Dunes.
so if it goes into foreclosure, will we pursue it?
That'd be that can get answered by county administration. TDC, it's been determined that we can fund some things. I'm not sure we can't do land purchase, right?
If we're buying it for certain purposes, we can, it would depend on what the purpose of the parcel acquisition is.
Because, you know, that is, again, that is a gorgeous piece of property.
Oh, I agree.
That, you know, it would be so, personally, I mean, I've been looking at this parcel, talking to the county about it probably for the better part of 7, 8 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, we've missed this opportunity and this opportunity and this opportunity. So now, if we're in a position again where that property is going to go into foreclosure, I would sure like to see us get on that wagon.
Yes, ma'am.
Because instead of, you know, being able to preserve that beautiful dune there, do something that can educate the public, would be a destination for people to actually see what the area is like. I would rather see that than that dune mowed down and a couple houses built there.
I agree. You know, the CCCL owns about the last quarter of that property back quarter, so anything that would be built would be, it's kind of limited. I agree, I follow up on that. I would assume the county has a better eye on that.
Because I know Jim had several designs for limited parking, small bathroom, and an observation point.
We did 3 conceptual designs.
Right.
One was what we call neighborhood beach access. The other one was what I call a super MBA, which has parking, and then full-blown regional beach access with facilities. So,
I don't want to see that slip away again if we have a chance to get something like that. There aren't that many pieces left
you're
that
right.
we can get.
I agree. It'd be a good opportunity. I'll follow up and get that on that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, moving on. Code of conduct. Oh, one thing I'd like to say also, as part of the mission statement, I want to emphasize that this board, this committee, is an advisory committee. We don't make final determination on policy. What we do is we make recommendations to the Tourist Development Council, who is also an advisory board to the Board County Commission, who makes the final decision on any action that is taken by the TDC and ultimately by the BCC. So as we go through our committee meetings, we identify destination improvement projects or concepts or ideas. And please remember that we are an advisory board, and the decisions that we make are a recommendation to the Tourist Development Council and ultimately the BCC. So just keep that in mind and understand that as we go through our meetings. Code of conduct. I'm going to go down this list verbatim. If you have any questions as we go down, we'll talk about it then. And at the end, if we have any other discussion, we can discuss it then. Number 1, in the back of your package, you'll find this. It's loose leaf. When we get done with the meeting, if you'll sign them and turn them into Stacy, I appreciate it. That way we have them on there. Number 1, all other committee members may be drawn from a specific interest group. Committee members must represent the interest of the entire area of South Walton and tourism community as a whole. So, as you saw the application, we had certain industry areas that we asked people to come from. We understand that people have, certain pet projects, so to speak, or areas of interest, but remember that we're here as a committee to help out all of South Walton. Committee members shall not take any action that would undermine the actions of the TDC if such action has been approved by the TDC and the Walton County BCC. Regardless of their personal viewpoint, committee members shall not speak against or in any way undermine TDC integrity once a vote has been made. We're all adults. As we make decisions as a committee, I hope that the people that might not be on the favorable side of the decision and understand that they have made input, it's been considered, and then let's move on to the next. So, read that one in particular. I know people are very active on social media. I'll be careful about how we explain our viewpoints on there. In no way am I trying to censor personal opinion. I just want to remind that as a committee member, we have a certain responsibility to keep our integrity and protect the integrity of PBC. Clay is going to give us a sunshine law and the ethics presentation later. He will talk about that a little bit in more depth. Committee members are expected to attend all committee meetings and make every effort to attend the annual meeting. As I talked before, we have a few members that, while we were going through the process of reappointment or appointment, they had notified us that they have to miss this meeting, so they were excused. However, in the future, they're scheduled out for 2 years. All of you should have received a schedule by now. And we have one meeting now, July 4th, 2017, will get changed to the appropriate day around the holiday. We do that as a committee as we get closer. But anyway, they're scheduled out. If you have a conflict with it, let's talk about it and see if we can get a way around it or find an alternative solution. If you can't be here, you can't contribute, and what we need is people that can contribute. Committee members shall avoid, in fact, in a perception, conflict of interest and disclose to the committee staff liaison or TDC executive director in a timely manner any possible conflicts. So if you have any conflicts with making decisions here or for recommendations, we operate under Robert's Rules of Order. You can recuse yourself if you think that you have a conflict of benefiting by a decision. Let's talk about it beforehand and make sure that there is a conflict that is a legal conflict and make appropriate action to either include you or exclude you in voting. Committee members' contributions to discussions and decision-making shall be positive and constructive. Once again, we're all adults. Come here with open mind, with a good attitude, respect our fellow members, and just be adults. Committee members' interactions and meetings shall be courteous, respectful, and free of animosity. Goes back to what I just said. It's all discussed in adult manner. If you have a difference of opinion, by all means, explain it, discuss it, but no personal attacks. If you can't continue on, let me know so that we can come to an agreement of either discontinuing or find a way to continue. Committee members shall be prepared for meetings, have read pre-circulated material in advance of the meeting. We send out the agenda 2 weeks in advance. We send out any backup material 1 week in advance. And we come to you via email as a PDF file. And we can also print a book if you so choose. If you do, please contact Stacy. You have her email and let her know. If you decide you want them now, just let her know now so she'll know in advance and she'll go ahead and print up any books that need to be done. Otherwise, it's electronic files, PDF format, and we also will have the any presentation material that we put up here as a handout at the meeting. Number 9, committee members shall not attempt to exercise individual authority or undue influence over other committee members or staff. We operate under Sunshine Law. Once again, Clay will give us a good presentation on how we're supposed to act and conduct ourselves in compliance with the Sunshine Law. Committee members must notify their staff liaison or the TDC executive director once they have filed their intent to run for any political office. So, in the future, if you want to run for any political office in the county, let us know. And we'll have a rule from Clay as to continue on this committee or not. Number 11, committee members shall conduct themselves in an ethical, professional manner at all times and shall be governed by the Florida Code of Ethics. Once again, Clay will give us more on Code of Ethics. Number 12, at all times, members of the committee shall be current in the payment of any and all tourist relevant tax assessment and bed taxes. This requirement shall apply to members both individually and to any entity of which the member is a part of or conducts business with. So if you're an individual tax collector, make sure you work on your taxes, many of your taxes. And if you work with a company, party manager that collects those taxes, then just make sure you're current. Non-compliance with any of the above provisions shall constitute grounds for removal from a committee. So is there any questions about code of conduct? Good. As I said, you can sign this, date it, hand it off to Stacy before you leave. I appreciate it. And moving on, Clay Atkinson with our Sunshine Law and the Thank
you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. As Brian introduced me, I am Clay Atkins, and I am the attorney for the Tourist Development Council. I've met pretty much everybody here at various point in time. Some of you have heard this presentation before, so I apologize if you ever sit through it again. For those that haven't, what I'm here to talk to you about the Sunshine Law, public records, and Chapter 112 Florida, which is Florida's Code of Ethics. Who here is familiar with Sunshine Law? Just show it. So we have some who have probably a greater familiarity than others. Let's start with what the concept is. Let's start just with the broadest stroke of what Sunshine Law means. Florida probably has the broadest group of records and open government laws in the country. We're one of the forerunners and pioneers of it, and our law has repeatedly been interpreted and revised by the legislature to ensure open government. What's open government mean? It means the public, whether we have anybody here or not in the public, absolutely have a right to be part of the government's decision-making process. It means they have a right to be present when decisions are made. They have a right to know what information is going into those decisions. And they now, most recently, have a codified right to speak prior to governmental action in meetings. A lot of people didn't realize that was actually codified by statute until just a couple of years ago. Now it's actually a policy the county's adopted to comply with the current statute that public's allowed to speak both at the beginning of meetings and before any agenda items action is taken. The Sunshine Law is the law that primarily assures the public's right to access meetings. It requires three things: the meeting be open to the public, that reasonable notice of a meeting be given, and that minutes of those meetings be taken. Our doors are unlocked, we're taking minutes, and our staff posts notice. So guess what? It's really that simple. The only rub, and the only thing you have to be mindful of is what is a meeting? We all know this is a meeting. We're all here. Problem for you, and what you have to be mindful of as members of this committee, is that if you serve on a board that's subject to Sunshine Law, Brian told you you're an advisory committee, if all we were doing was having you find facts and just make a general report of facts to the TDC, you would not be subject to Sunshine Law. Because you actually be making recommendations that the TDC can accept or reject, you are subject to Sunshine Law. The same way the TDC is an advisory board of the BCC, they make recommendations, they're subject to Sunshine Law. So, a meeting is not just what you see here. A meeting has been defined as any interaction between two or more members of the same committee or board. So this is where you need to look around this table. And you'll have other meetings where everybody else is here. You look around this table, these are the faces and names you need to be familiar with. Because those are the people the Sunshine Law saying you cannot interact with, communicate with, talk to, telephone, email, text message, social media, or media messaging. Any of those methods of communication or any other that may not exist but may come into existence, you cannot discuss in any way any item that may come before your committee. Anything is reasonably foreseeable to come before this committee for action. Don't talk to each other about it. That's it. Carmen, I believe it is. Don't talk to Branch about something coming up. You use an example to pick on Jackie here a little bit. She's used to that, I think, for me. She talked about the Angelo's parcel. She's right. She's talked about this ever since I've been with TDC. I remember going back to 2005, and even prior to that time in 2009. I know we worked together trying to look at the initial nursing homes we made when I was dealing with BP stuff in Canada. Might be a great idea. Everybody here may think that's a wonderful parcel. May think they have some insight on how to do it. Don't come talk to Jackie about it. Don't go to Jackie and ask her for information about it. Don't put her in a spot where y'all are talking about a project that may come back before this committee. Talking about other beach access acquisitions, things of that nature. Don't talk amongst each other. The time to talk about it is right here in this meeting. You're going to have every chance. I guarantee you, staff will make sure you have every chance to say your piece. They'll talk about it in court. But the better way to think about it, at least in my experience, you know who you can't talk to. Let's talk about who you can and can't talk to in that. Okay? Kurt Tape is our TDC member of this committee. Let's put Kurt aside for a second. He's not here, so I can't correct him. Who else knows a member of the TDC? Okay, who do you know? Jim Shark. Okay. Anybody else know Jim Shark? Show of hands. On Sticky's Fish Camp. Been very involved in the community, serves on one of our other committees here. Can y'all go talk to Jim Shaw, a member of our TDC, about something that's going to come before this committee? What do you think? I'm picking on you, you're one of my new members who hasn't signed this.
Well, I guess yes, if he's not on the committee, but he's TDC.
You're exactly right with the first statement. He's not on your committee. He's a TDC member. You absolutely may discuss. Under sunshine law, matters with it. Now, you have a code of conduct that says you're not going to go out there and exert undue influence. You're not going to go out there and disparage actions taken by the board. But can you talk to him about anything? Absolutely. You can talk to any member of the TDC except for Kurt Tate. Kurt Tate is your representative in this committee. He serves the same committee. What about the BCC? Does anybody know any of our county commissioners? So most of y'all actually know some of them all by name. There are 5 of them. Cindy Meadows, she's down in the South End. Sue Jones, Bill Enfield, Bill Chapman, Sarah Mann. Can you talk to any of them about an item? It's kind of what's going on. Susan head nods it. Yes. The answer is absolutely unequivocally yes, you can. They are not on your committee. Even though they are on the committee, they're going to be making advisory recommendations to. The sunshine law does not prohibit it. Now, what about staff? Can y'all talk to Brian? There's not a yes. Did he tell y'all the front part he was the TDC liaison to this committee? That changed anybody's opinion? Well, here's the thing. Staff, even in a liaison capacity, he's not a voting member of this committee. He actually does not serve on this committee. He does not count towards the quorum of this committee. He is the liaison from TDC to this committee. Therefore, you can talk to his staff. I always do that because you will hear our staff repeatedly tell you, we're your liaison to this committee. And then people think, wait a minute, Mr. Atkins has stood up here and told us, I can't talk to other members of my committees. He's the liaison to this committee, I better not talk to him. I want to clarify. He is the liaison from staff of this committee. He's not a member of this committee like Kirk Tate is. You can talk to Brown, talk to Stacy, talk to Mr. Irvin, talk to me, talk to the interim director Sunday. You can talk to any staff official, County Administrator Jones, any of these people, any staff member. That's who you should talk to if you have questions and need information. That's their job to get it. The sunshine law does not prohibit staff from communicating about these matters unless they are on an advisory committee. It does not preclude you from talking to staff. Now, you can't go to staff and say, Brian, look, I like this idea. This thing needs to pass. Rick can't come and say, Brian, listen, you got to go talk to these people. Go talk to Bob, go talk to Branch, go talk to Carmen. Make sure they're good with this. Can't do that because he's violating sunshine law on your behalf. But can you talk to Brian about a project? Figure out what's going on? Sure, absolutely, that's okay. So, if you bear in mind that the public has a right to be present, to participate in whatever fashion they want, they just want to listen, that's okay. They want to speak, they have that right to do so within reasonable bounds. We can set time limits on how long they can speak. We can set issues. You can't be talking about the Angelo's parcel, we'll stick with an example, and somebody hop up, well, I want to talk to you about Hullamacock, or I want to talk to you about Kellogg property. Hold on, we have an agenda item talking about the Angelo's parcel. We can talk about that a little later. We're not going to let you disrupt our agenda to stand up here and talk about something that's not before us right now. You can do that, but the public has a right to participate. It is not for anyone on this committee, for staff, or any of us, to determine what level of participation a public member or a public citizen should have to do to be part of this. Well, it's our obligation to do is make sure we're not doing anything to keep them out. So, Branch, can you and Andy go have lunch next week?
Sure.
Of course you can. Social gatherings. Can y'all all attend the same social function? Can y'all be at the TDC? He says, of course. I am going to tell you that. Every one of you needs to be cognizant of the appearance of the crowd. If they see Andy and Branch having lunch the day before one of these meetings, could somebody possibly come up and raise this argument? Well, hey, look, they must have been talking about it in the meeting. Sure. Just be aware of that. I'm not telling you don't do it. The example I always use is there's an attorney general opinion that makes very clear that in a city in the state of Florida, both the husband and wife were elected to serve on the city council. And they had numbers of ethics complaints filed against them. You know they have to be going home talking about all this stuff. You know they made their decision. Attorney General, as well as the Commissioner of Ethics, both looked at it and said, look, you may be right. It's not at all unreasonable to make that assumption. But absent proof of that, no, you don't just get to say because they're related, because people may be dealing with each other in business or social functions, that they're automatically violating the sunshine law. But please be mindful of it. The reason I want you to be mindful of these things, I don't expect anybody here on this committee to go sit down outside of this meeting, closed doors, proverbial dark or dimly lit back rooms, dark smoke, who can hush voices and talk about what they want to do to benefit themselves or their friends or somebody else. Frankly, as much as people are concerned that that level of corruption exists, I can tell you, it never exists. It doesn't exist as much as most people think. At least that's not the general sunshine law violations thing. When sunshine law is violated, it's important to understand what can happen to it. Two things. One, you can be charged with a crime. A violation of the sunshine law is a first-degree misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in county jail and $1,000 criminal fine if you're convicted. Depending on what you do while you're violating the sunshine law, you need to be aware that there are multiple other offenses, including felony and federal offenses, misuse of public position, and honest services fraud that could get you in a lot more trouble just a year in county jail. Go ask a number of representatives down in Miami who were on board down there, who all got charged with honest services fraud arising out of sunshine law violations, are all in federal prison. The other thing that can happen is you can be fined up to $500. We'll ask the Crestview City Council about that. If that happens, their entire city council got fined $500 each because they're violating the sunshine law. The state attorney's office said we're not going to find this criminal because they did believe what they were doing was, at least under their impression, not a violation of the law. They had some legal opinion that supported what they were doing, but nonetheless, it was a violation of the law. They were civilly fined $500 each. Since all of you make so much good money from this committee, that's probably not a problem. I'm joking. Obviously, you don't get paid anything to do this. You're volunteering. The last thing you want to do is mistakenly violate the sunshine law, get hit with a $500 fine, now it's costing you money to serve this committee. Worse, get charged with a crime, have to hire an attorney to represent you on that, cost you a lot more than it's worth. You don't want to be in that position. So, understanding what you can't do is pretty straightforward. Understanding what you can do. Talking in these meetings is okay. I want to talk to you about how some people mess up. One great example. And I'll probably do it both. I tell every committee this, and I'm sure most people don't really believe it's that true, but it happens all the time, actually. All of you get emails, probably from staff, that we get emails about your agenda, about items that are out here before you. Most of the time, that email will be sent to everybody else's committee at one time. Brian's not going to sit here and send one to Bob, one to Jackie, one to Rick, one to Andy, one to Branch, one to Carter. He's going to send one that includes everybody. Be aware that if you reply to that email, even with the best of intentions, that your email settings are not automatically configured to reply all, or that you're not hitting reply all by mistake. And that's also important because with undisclosed list, where Brian sends it, it just says Destination Marketing Committee, and you don't see who else is on that list, you can't assume you're the only person to get that. So please be careful with replying all. I'll give you an example that happened with our TDC right here in Walton County. When we were going through the rebrand, and we go from Beaches of South Walton to Visit South Walton. One of the big issues the TDC was faced with during that time frame in 2010, 2011 was this idea of differentiating ourselves from our neighbor Destin. People would come down here, stay in Seagrove, and say, I stayed in Destin. They asked where they had dinner. They had dinner at Stinky's. Well, I was in Destin. People couldn't figure out that from Destin all the way down to Panama City, there was something else. There was a gap down South Walton. So how do we brand it? How do we differentiate that? And that became a priority for the TDC. Not going to weigh in on the wisdom and policy, whether it was good, bad, or otherwise. But I can tell you that everybody at the time thought it was a pretty good idea to find an extension. That was sent out as part of some additional information for an upcoming meeting on the agenda. Our TDC director sent it to everybody, hey, here's some additional information that our marketing group has just come back on about brand recognition, our visitor identification of where they're staying, their recall of their location. Oh, and by the way, here is Best in Destin for this year. The little, you see Best in Emerald Coast, Best in Destin is productions of who the best businesses are. So. And sure enough, that year out of 32 winners, I believe it was a majority, I believe it was 17. That may be slightly off now, this was some years ago. 17 of the Best in Destin were actually Walton County businesses. Destin didn't even know who they were naming the best in Destin. And they named the watercolor inn, for example, was one of the best lodgings in Destin. A long way from Destin, if anybody's trying to drive from 38 to Destin, I think we all recognize that. One of our TDC council members thought that was a great example. And they chimed back, but of course they didn't reply. Hey, that's exactly what we need to be addressing. We need to go to these businesses and just warn these boards and make sure they're not advertising themselves as Destin. This is what we have to be doing. Let's make sure they're not using that. They can advertise that best in Destin, but let's make sure they're also telling people in Walton County, because Destin's stealing our business by doing that. They're trying to co-opt our brand, our successful businesses, our image. Problem is, while that was a wonderful thing, it's going to go on the agenda for discussion. Now, certainly the reason for saying what the TDC was about to talk about, and that reply all was their entire opinion of how they felt about it. That was an email just for the TDC. That is a sunshine law violation. To make that matter worse, I tell people, because it can never just be simple. We had another TDC member chime back in and reply all to that message. I completely agree with that. Were they great intentions? Sure. Were they trying to violate the sunshine law? Were they trying to commit a crime? Trying to do something wrong, keep them out? No. Can we cure them? We did. We made those email correspondence part of our record, and we talked about them on the meeting. Said, hey, look, accidentally hit reply all. Here's what it is. The public can see what we did. Well, what you don't want to do is create that violation, because the other thing that happens, let's say you make a recommendation, it goes up to the TDC, and they approve it, and it goes up to the BCC, and they go through the land acquisition process, and they acquire a piece of property that started out down here, it's going to be a great beach access preservation area, use those parcels to be anything. One of the penalties, if we are sued for violating the sunshine law, is the action is set aside. So something even that simple, a court could say, because the action originated with the sunshine law violation is what legally is defined as void ab initio. Fancy like way of saying it was void at the time it happened, therefore it never happened. It was never valid. Some committees that doesn't matter that much because they're not making recommendations about parcel acquisition, financing, giving money out. But when you are, it can be very good. I use Jacksonville as an example. Jacksonville created an airport authority years ago. Anybody ever flown out of Jacksonville International Airport? Where'd you fly internationally, Andy?
To the Bahamas.
And how long ago did you take that trip?
6 years, 7 years.
Pretty recent. That didn't exist in 1980. It didn't exist in 1989. It certainly wasn't international. In 1980, Jacksonville and Duval County got together and said, we want an international airport. The scope of it was going to be as big as Orlando currently is. They were going to be the airport in St. Florida. That's what they, they were the port. They went out and got an FAA grant. $30+ million. Pretty good money in 1980, 1981. They went through the contract process, selected contractor. 2 members of that authority met with that contractor after their numbers came in to talk about what they want to see done with this project, what it would look like. Some additional revisions were made. Actually saved some money on the project. But one of the bidders who wasn't selected said, we know 2 members of this board that ultimately approved this contract met with the low bidder after the bid came in and revised their bid. If we'd had the same chance, we'd have done that. They clearly had to fix into this group. They're getting this $30 million plus all their matching. It's not right. Court said, yeah, unfortunately they're right. Sunshine law violation did occur. It's not public. What they have to do, they have to set the contract aside. Because the contract was not awarded within the set amount of time. Anybody's familiar with grant money? Any of y'all know some of that was some SORA funds and things you applied for. If you don't let the contract and start within time, what do you do with the money? You give it back. $30 million. I don't think we're going to give property back. I think we're going to waste money. We're going to give money away. We might get through the murder process or something. So, is that an extreme example? Sure. But did it happen? That's the problem. These things do happen. The other side is attorney's fees. The county can be sued, and if they are found to violate sunshine law, you order to pay attorney's fees. Those numbers go to $2,000-$300,000 like that. Very easy. Nobody wants to cost that much money out of the TDC budget. So be careful. That email example is a great example of how it can happen. The other thing, social media. Who here has Facebook? Who here has Twitter? Instagram? Any social media? Are you friends with anybody else on your committee? Think about it if you are. What if you make a post to your Facebook page about a wonderful thing that your committee is about to do? And it goes to other people in your committee. Anybody think that might be a sunshine law violation? Anybody say yes, show hands? It probably is, it's a short answer. Most conservative approaches it is. That argument has been made, not to an attorney general, but at least at a circuit level court of Florida, once we know of. And in that case, the argument at least went like this. Look, the person's social media account, in this case Facebook, was set to public. So anybody could go in there and see it, so it was not actually private. The court said, well, okay, you may be right. They said, look, you have minutes. It's right there. It's all written. It's minutes. You can see what they said. You can see every response. No harm, no foul. They've got minutes. Apparently the judge looked at him and said, well, tell me when you published notice that that posting was going to happen. That 8:57 posting on Thursday night. When did you give notice that you were going to be sending that out? Well, Judge, that's how it works. Law says you have to give notice before you have a meeting. It's communication from you that went to them. They have gone to 10 other people. They have been visible with everybody else. But how is a citizen who may or may not have Facebook to know the government's not to talk about matters outside of it? What you see, when I said Florida interprets these laws broadly, is this. Courts, in many cases, are not going to say, hey, no harm, no foul, realize you made an honest mistake, I'm not going to find you a violation. Courts more often than not are going to find a violation to make a point. That if we say we're going to let this person use Facebook because, well, it was recorded there and their profile settings are public, all of a sudden now, county commissioner can talk to any other county commissioner about Facebook as long as they post it publicly. Those of us who don't use Facebook, just rattle up. We better get Facebook if you want to know. They said the point is for citizens to be involved. If citizens want to be involved, they should know how to. And we should not unnecessarily restrain that to one form of communication or to a form of communication that might not be widely known or used as a governmental decision-making process. No matter how many people in this country and in the world use Facebook. That's not how most governments, or probably any that I know in the state of Florida, conduct their meetings. So just be mindful of that. Does that mean y'all can't be friends on Facebook? No, but be mindful about what you share. So it's being aware of who you're communicating with in any way and what you're communicating about. You keep it away from issues on this committee, you're going to find it. Now, y'all vote. We want to recommend to TDC that you go acquire parcel X, wherever it is. Bob, can you and Jackie talk about that parcel acquisition after y'all already voted and sent it up to the TDC? Anybody think you can?
After we've sent it to the
Yep.
TDC? I think so.
Okay. Is your action binding on the TDC?
No,
Is it final?
no.
I know you go to a lot of meetings, so I'm picking on you not because of the way you've answered. Now, not because of the way you've answered, but because I know you've seen this happen. Have you ever seen the BCC send an item that has gone to the TDC back to the TDC for more consideration?
Yes.
Exactly. You seen it on the planning board? Yeah. Code board, have you seen them come back and ask for additional fact finding?
Actually not,
The code board, they can't. That's the difference. You can at the code board because of statute. The county has no authority to redirect the code board because you're not truly an advisory board. You have your own authority. So that's the distinction.
Can I ask you a question
Sure.
while you put the subject up? On the recent incident at the planning board, I would like to talk about the state's decision not to do anything about that. Can you give me some insight as to why the state decided that A, was not a violation, and B, that no action was going to be taken?
You're referring to what specifically the planning board, so everybody else understands what I'm
The
talking
Suzanne incident.
referring to the accusation that members of that board violated sunshine law?
One of the guys who met before the meeting.
Perhaps this is a discussion for after the meeting.
Well, what I'm going to point out there is this, and it is relevant at least for the generalized discussion. First off, I'll tell you, I did not represent any party involved in that, did not represent the county in that, so I've had no discussions with anybody in the official capacity. So I can't begin to tell you what the state attorney would or would not say about that. But I will say this. The issue on any board, when it comes to sunshine, you have to be mindful of is that what has been reported on that, and what everybody's heard about it. If you think that what you've heard, or what you read in the paper, what somebody's told you is the full story, you're probably mistaken. Not because somebody's lied to you, but because very rarely are these issues black and white. Just like I said, Branch and Andy go out and they have lunch. Well, somebody says, hey, look, I saw them. They must have been talking about that. I don't know what else Branch and Andy have been talking about. I've never seen them together except in a committee meeting. Shoot, they happen to see each other at the restaurant. There's one seat available, and Andy said, Branch, come sit with me. Don't turn around and go out the door. I've just met you, okay, good enough. You don't know. The appearance of impropriety can be alleged. Those matters go up and down. State attorneys make their decision. They made a decision to prosecute. They didn't find them to be criminally liable. They found them to be civilly liable. In Pensacola, people say people don't go to jail for sunshine law violation. Ask former Senator W.D. Childers, former Commissioner there, Willie Jr. He went to jail, went to prison over these cases. Willie Jr. never did, but he was sentenced for it. He was going to be sentenced for it. The bottom line is people can go to jail for these violations. So what I would remind you of is, more than anything, that's a great example of how the appearance of impropriety. I don't know the facts. Facts, the state attorney review, once it's already may have been more than sufficient not to bring any issue forward. On the other hand, they may still be looking at it. My point is, you don't want to be defending yourself from that. You can see it being wrong.
Okay, question. We are an advisory committee to an advisory committee that is non-binding. What's going to be sent back to us?
Well, I can tell you something, anything could. I can tell you we've had numerous issues sent back to the marketing committee. One of the best examples that, again, you've been in enough of these meetings, you've probably heard the issue of the TDC looking at funding a tram or a trolley. That issue, in my tenure at the TDC over 6 years now, has gone from the TDC to the BCC and back no less than 4 times. And I'm probably missing 4.
You sure?
I probably am.
Yeah.
It has gone
The
from...
dueling signs.
The dueling signs is another one. But the marketing committee, I know this, it has gone from the marketing committee on the train to the TDC 3 times and gone back all 3 times. So what I'm telling you is it can. So that's why I say once you voted, don't just take the assumption it's over. Because you're an advisory committee and part of your role is fact-finding and making a recommendation, the TDC can come back and say, in that case, for example, they said, look, are you saying we're going to fund the operation of the trolley, or are you saying we're going to spend marketing money to wrap the trolley, that's all you want us to do, and have you looked at whether or not you're allowed to do those things? So back down it went. Back up it went. The TDC went to the BCC. The BCC sent it back down and said, y'all keep looking at it. So it can go all the way up and come all the way back down. The bottom code board, obviously, the difference is the code board has some, lack of a better phrase, sovereign authority in your decision making, and the remedies to that are through court systems and the county function more of a appellate capacity. Planning commissions, TDC, advisory boards, underneath advisory boards, technically you can trickle all the way up and trickle all the way back down. Until final action or decision is taken, you can't assume it's formally. So that's essential. Public records are going to take me a real short amount of time. They're actually very easy for those who are getting overwhelmed. Public records are anything made or received in connection with official business. That packet you got in front of you, you received it in connection with your official business on the committee, it's public record. The public has a right to access it and get it. If we don't maintain those records, again, person not maintaining them, subject to potential criminal prosecution and civil liability, county subject to large attorney's fees and fines if they do violate Chapter 119 Public Records Law. So, what else are public records? Emails you get from friends, people in the community about issues coming before your committee. Those are received within your official capacity. You do not have a Visit South Walton email address. Statute's going to require you to maintain them, but what we're going to ask you to do to help you out is very simple. When you get an email, forward it to that man right there, or to whichever staff member within the TDC, or whichever email address within the TDC he designates. If you reply and say something to them, make sure he's CC'd on that. Make sure every part of any email chain is sent into the TDC server. When it hits that Visit South Walton address, it's archived by the county server. Now, level of protection. In case your hard drive crashes, in case you change email providers and lose all your email, in case you accidentally swipe and delete it. You're covered once you send it to TDC. Most of text messages per mile, Facebook posts per mile, you know, to TDC. Look, if somebody ever come back in and say, look, we want to make sure they maintain them, maybe. But I can tell you this. If I have to go before a judge on your behalf, on TDC's behalf, and I've got a stack of paper that's this thick, every one of these is an email you sent, and it's gone into the register, and they lay that there, and somebody pulls out one single page, and they lay out one single page, they didn't send that one, Judge. Public records violation. Maybe. But what I'm going to tell you is that in my experience, courts are going to be at least willing to consider giving you the benefit of the doubt if your track record showed the vast majority of your communications, if not almost all of them, went to the TDC, and perhaps one of them did not. Perhaps. Now, on the other hand, if that stack looks like that, and you've got a couple pages over here that are your ones that went to TDC, and there's a big stack of emails over here that didn't, you might get the benefit of that. So I'm asking you to do something to protect yourself, let the county protect its. Just make sure you get staff or archive it for you. We'll take care of it. We'll do everything we can to protect your mind. You don't want to sit down with me and spend hours upon hours reviewing public records requests where I have to go through all of your emails to determine what is and is not disclosed. We've had a former TDC director as well as a former county administrator to do hours of that. And trust me, it's not from experience.
Just to clarify, an email between myself and Brian is not a public record.
Yeah, it is. It's made in connection with official business.
Do I have to maintain a copy or just what?
If you make sure Brian's on, if you make sure it goes to his email account, as long as the entire email stream is maintained by the TDC, our position on our committee members, as well as the TDC council, as well as the county commission, they have slightly different binding order, in fact, about not using personal email accounts, is your copy. If you have the ability to archive, and you want to archive all your emails just to be abundantly safe, feel free. But what I'm telling you is, make it a habit, make sure everything comes to that man, or whoever he tells you, you're going to be okay. In most cases. Another point for you is to consider this. Anything you write down in these meetings is a public record. It's not like law enforcement, they get a note-taking exemption. Whatever notes you take in these meetings are public record. You take them, go home, scan them back to the TDC, ask staff to make a copy of it for you, they'll do that. Practical word of caution outside of public records, but I always give you is be mindful of all that you're doing. I have had a council member before write down what an asshole, referring to a presenter. The presenter made that request the next morning and they got it. To that person's credit or discredit, depending on how you view the following response, when it was brought up, they said, I could have wrote down a lot more choice words about you than that. That's just what I happened to put on paper. They didn't care. But for business people in this community, people who've not been elected and gone through that type of political process, sometimes you don't want that. The other example came out of an area over by Jacksonville, and that area New Orleans, County region, where two male board members wrote notes back and forth. They actually were smart enough to turn their notes in to avoid being accused of having thrown them out. They turned them in. They were produced. The notes had some comments that I would simply say that their respective spouses found highly inappropriate regarding the female presenter they were commenting. My point is, what you write down can be bound and talked about. Just be careful about that. Am I telling you to not create a public record? No, I'm telling you to dispose of a public record. Absolutely not. But I'm telling you, you need to be mindful that what you do in this position now puts you in the public eye. Just be mindful of that. Yeah, we don't want to bring any negative view on the TDC. Let's try not to do that. Okay?
Okay, I have another question.
Sure.
As you probably know, I'm one of the administrators of the Wall County IDs for vision.
Right.
I post most of the majority of the information that's on there. I post a lot of articles from various sources. I post information. I usually don't comment on it unless I know it's something that's not going to be discussed here, or I don't think it's going to be discussed here. If I'm posting and I'm not commenting,
You need to be mindful of what you're posting. For instance, to give you a great example. If, let's use our current presidential election as an example. If I start sending out from my law firm's email to my entire client database articles that talk about Donald Trump and why he would be great for America, do you have a different opinion of what I'm doing than if I send out articles that talk about Donald Trump's the biggest doofus ever put his name on the ballot? Do those send different messages if I send a certain type of message repeatedly in your mind? If all I send is Donald Trump's a great candidate, what do you think my opinion of Donald Trump is? He's a great candidate. If I said he's the biggest doofus all the time, don't see anybody be a great candidate if I express an opinion that way. What you've got to be mindful of is the way you're communicating a violation, but also what you're communicating. If you're just forwarding articles on to people, for instance, that forwarding on that, hey, branding and destiny, that by itself may not be an issue, but what you're sending on expresses an opinion, has a stance on something. It's subject to being a violation, or subject to being considered that way. I mean, certainly a public record, if you send it to the members of this community that deals with the official business in some regards, you have a good role in understanding that. I would just caution you to be careful about who's on this committee being included on that email list. The other thing is, if you know something's coming before this committee, if you know it is, as I remember asking the other day, what happens if somebody else sends out on social media for one of my companies or one of my organizations? You're not the one sending it. I think you're not going to happen. So just be careful about who sends it out. If somebody else can post it, if it's something your organization feels strongly about posting, go ahead. But maybe don't do it yourself. Because you don't want to be accused that Jackie was trying to influence the committee by sending out this information. That's the question. Were you trying to influence the committee? And from what you just described, no, you weren't. You were functioning in a dual role, you're just sending out information about something. But if somebody disagrees with that viewpoint and says you were influencing your committee, you were giving them information that the rest of us didn't see, every member on their committee got this, and it's support of what y'all are doing.
What if the information is also transmitted from another entity in the same form or another form? In other words, what Jack was talking about, you copy and paste from the county website, right?
sometimes,
Yeah.
If you're sharing something that has already happened, or sharing information, hey, this will be discussed, no problem at all.
or I frequently put your posts, visit South Walton, you know.
Okay, and provided those posts do not invade that realm of opinion or suggestion, I think you're going to be okay. I think we can defend that issue.
It's disseminating public information.
That's exactly right. Now, if our TDC staff members, the TDC for some reason takes on a lobbying function, which is something we have, over the past 6 years, I'd say, moved away from in great stride from where we may have been 7 or 8 years ago, in which there was some degree of lobbying to and against the DCC on issues. Now, it curtailed that somewhat. If that happens, you got to be careful about it. What I'm asking is, and I'm telling you right now, am I giving you the most conservative approach to this? Absolutely. My reason why is this. I'll go make whatever argument I can possibly make to help you out if you're accused of violating, within whether or not I'm legally able to. The problem is, it's always easier to never have to argue that way. It's always easier to never have to justify your actions. Because what you're doing, think about this, and we're going into a lot more detail in this committee than I do in some because we're getting questions, but I always appreciate questions and answers, I really do. You're trying to disprove a negative. You're trying to say, I did not mean for that post to represent this, and oh, by the way, I didn't think the post represented it. How do you prove that? How do you prove that you didn't mean for something to be interpreted a certain way by someone else when you didn't even feel it? One of those logical mind twisters that courts are not well suited to determine. And in my experience, what do judges do in public records cases? They say, not give you the benefit of the doubt, which is not public. You're the government. You're the sunshine law. Just don't do it. Was there a reason that you had to do it? You wanted to, you didn't have to. That's what we want to avoid. Because again, I've had a lot of committee members come up, members of the public come up to me after these meetings and call me and say, I get the impression you don't think the sunshine law is good. I said, not at all. I think the sunshine law is very good. Do I think that it has been interpreted in a very broad way? Absolutely. Do I think the interpretation is wrong? No, I don't think that either. Do I think that the implementation of it on local levels by courts tend to err on a side of caution that cuts against government far more often than what I think even the legislature ever intended? I do. I think you have a very broadly written law where specific examples are not governed. It's generalities. And then you have a court in Miami saying this case was a violation of the law, and you have a case in Tallahassee saying this was a violation of the law, and you have an attorney general opinion that's not binding, maybe entirely different. What's a judge to do? Well, I'm not anywhere in the road. I can't tell you what I would do, but I can tell you what judges will often do in those cases is err on the side of the public, because those enacting languages and the whereas and the wherefore provisions in all the legislative documents say open government's paramount. We are to construe this law to ensure it. And then to construe it in a way that may open the door for it to be otherwise to be a problem. So in your example, while I don't think what you proposed is at all a violation of sunshine law, I don't think it expresses intent, it expresses any desire to influence or to do anything outside the public eye. If a court were to tell you that, okay, our problem, Ms. Markell, is that you sent numerous articles about a certain project that's vital. We believe that was communication with the rest of your board because they were all getting them. It was not a public meeting. It did not follow the strict definition of a meeting in sunshine law. We cannot find that to be appropriate, because if we do, who's to say that an email goes to just the people in your committee and not everybody else, or just the people in your committee and 10 supporters that does the same thing as not supporting that issue? So you have a breadth issue about who all it goes to. Just those are the kind of arguments that I hate to have to argue for public officials, because most of them also say, no, I have the best intent. Problem is, best intent is an offense in these kind of cases. Now, the other side is this. You need to be mindful if you do that at all. Might want to make sure Brian gets a copy of everything you did, because if you think it's going to be a problem when you think you're involved, as I've talked to people on the marketing committee about before, it didn't come up yesterday, but it came up in one of my question and answers there is very similar to yours. If you're sending out email blasts about a function and you think it's going to come before you, it's just part of your job and you think it's going to be attributed back to you, send it to staff. Staff will look at it. Staff will get with me and say, hey, look, we got a committee meeting coming up. This person sent that out. What do you think? What I'm probably going to do to cover you, if I think it's the least bit close, I think it's anything more than dissemination of public information, is I'm going to say we're going to put that on the agenda and say, just for public knowledge, the following documents were set out by an organization that one of our committee members is a member of, Ms. Markell specifically in that case, or maybe it's Branch, whoever it is, and this is what they were. They are now part of this record. Public's welcome to get a copy of it. Other members of this committee may have seen it. Some of you in the audience may have seen it. It's informational. Here's what it is. You might as well look at it through. Now we put it out there before the action has been taken. We probably cured any violation. We certainly probably told or stopped any potential attorney's fees or legal relationships. My goal is to try to prevent these things from happening in the future.
Thank you.
Any other public records? Again, here's the deal. You've got a code of conduct. Follow that, you're probably going to be fine under Florida's code of ethics. Florida's code of ethics, there are really two big issues let me hit on for you. Most people have got in on misuse of public position. Voting conflicts, that's my biggest one. Florida law says a voting conflict is something that you cannot vote because the vote would inure to the special, private gain or loss of you, a relative, relative's pretty broadly defined by the way, or a business associate, so employer, business partners, potentially employees. Understand that loss matters too, because you can't say, well, hey, I voted on something, but it sure enough hurt my family or hurt my friend who's my business partner. Good enough. Can't hurt them either. Can't vote on something that affects their interest, one way up or down. Because they don't want people voting to harm people. At the end of the day, be mindful of that. Be mindful of what you're voting on. If you think it would directly affect an interest you're associated with it, or you accuse yourself. Just that simple. There's a form you fill out, staff maintains them, you're covered. Other issues we call status conflict. Those are more pervasive. That means it doesn't matter if you're voting. You can't do business with your own agency is one good example of that. And we try to screen committee members when they apply to make sure that their business interest and what they do is not in business with TDC, so that it would not be that issue. But if you feel like you're actually doing business or involved in a business relationship with TDC in some capacity, you're willing to be, give the staff and we'll talk about it. I'll be glad to give you a legal opinion in my capacity as TDC counsel about that. If you don't like that opinion, you feel you need more protection, you want more, we can take it up to the Florida Commission on Ethics, and their attorneys will gladly give us either an informal or formal opinion by their entire committee that will cover you and insulate you. You do that on the front end, you're going to be protected if someone accuses you of some kind of conflict or some kind of impropriety. And let me tell you something. Conflicts of interest and perceived conflicts of interest are the most common complaint that public officials gets. Anybody who spends enough time doing public work is going to be accused, whether formally or just in back chatter around the community, of having some kind of conflict. It's almost unavoidable. Take your time up front for that. The bottom line is, the reason I say that, I told you up front, the TDC, in an interest of making sure we're doing things properly, not letting people who are not qualified to act on issues act or vote, because we don't want our actions subside, will more than likely endorse either myself or the county attorney asking a question on your behalf to the Ethics Commission, especially if we feel it may affect multiple members or be a reoccurring issue for the county. What we can't do, unfortunately, is if you are accused of an ethics violation, once that complaint is filed, we can't represent you. County dollars talk about you can't use it to represent you. You're going to have to do that on your own. And I've represented numerous public officials, both the in and out of this county, to the Ethics Commission. I can tell you to every single person there that I've known there, their attorney's fees have been substantially cheaper when they come to me beforehand and said, hey, let's go get an ethics committee. Then when we had to go in items. It's just that simple fact. Even when they came to me privately to do it outside of an official capacity.
So just to understand my government, if a commissioner, a county commissioner is accused of an ethics violation, is their defense paid by them privately, or is that paid publicly?
We're talking about Chapter 112 violation, which is the Florida Code of Ethics. And it is a complaint that's filed with the Ethics Commission in Tallahassee. Almost universally, that complaint will be defended by the commissioner themselves. For the board to approve it, there would have to be a number of steps taken, and the board would have to approve that. Specifically, and without going into all the exceptions, you would have to find that what is being alleged does not necessarily work against the interests of the public or the board itself. There is the general question of, okay, this is an issue that could occur for all 5 board members. Somebody's going to raise this question, this board member may apply to all 5 of them. We've had that case. We've handled that before. We've sought clarification, not with the county, but with another entity, where an accusation was made against one member, then we realized it was going to be made against 4 other members of the same board, and it was the same exact accusation of a status conflict. The board voted in that case that an initial opinion would be sought at that point in time as to everyone except for the one who had a complaint filed against them to try to address that issue. Ultimately, it was determined that should probable cause for ethics complaint be found in that case, our position was they would need to either seek independent legal representation, be it separate from the city or county attorney, and in that case, move forward with their own legal fees. Complaints filed in circuit court are a little different. Generally, if you were sued in your individual capacity, but as a member of a board that you serve on, for instance, a county commission, there are provisions that allow those legal fees to be paid depending on what the allegations are against the person. Whether a public official chooses to utilize that or to access those funds is often a personal call. I have seen clients who are members of boards decline public funds for legal representation. That's up to them. Some absolutely insist on it. You know, I'm a volunteer, it's a part-time job. I don't have a lot of money for what I'm doing. I'm not going to put on legal fees. That's a personal question. I can tell you that I personally have had clients from other counties as well as this county say, no, you know, I'm paying on legal fees, I'm not against the public, pick up the bill, and I'll pursue attorney's fees against the person accused of it. That's a personal question. So, but my point is, the exceptions to get that are pretty rare. People think it happens all the time, it really doesn't. It's pretty rare for the county to pick up and move. So just be mindful of that. Nobody wants to incur this. Any questions about sunshine law, ethics, any of it in this world?
I have a theoretical about this parking lot that Jackie brought up earlier in the meeting.
Let's run. I'll do my best.
So it's theoretical because I'm not sure of my facts, but if in fact this lot is for sale and the owner wants twice the assessed value, and did I also hear that it was in foreclosure or something?
That's what, didn't you say that?
The last action that was to be understood was the owner wanted twice the appraised value, and we also learned that it was pending foreclosure. So it had not gone into foreclosure, and of course he was actively trying to sell it as well.
So my question to Clay is this. Knowing those facts, would it be appropriate for this committee to recommend to the TDC, to recommend to the BCC that they take that by eminent domain?
Probably not. Just give me my gut answer on that. And I have not thought about it before you asked that. I will say this. The reason I say probably not is this. I'm on the spot here, and I'll be willing to look at it for you. Absolutely, if the committee wants to get that, that's an agenda item, and you want me to research for it. Our reason for saying probably not is this. The TDC itself does not have an eminent domain authority. You are an advisory board of the TDC. Now, could the TDC potentially make that recommendation to the BCC on their own unilaterally? Maybe. My gut is, based off of the TDC's function, that the BCC is going to tell them it's not your eminent, even though it'd be great for you. The TDC's acquisition of property will be our purchasing it for the appropriate statutory uses of each part facility, being the major. That's what it probably have to be. So if you're asking us to acquire for that and talk about what the TDC can or cannot do, I would think in that scenario that would be appropriate. I would think it would exceed this committee's jurisdiction and probably exceed the TDC's jurisdiction to ask the county to exert their eminent domain, condemnation, or other action to take property, because it's really outside the TDC. The TDC could not do eminent domain because they're not governmental entities separate from the county. They are a part of the county.
Yeah, but of course, we wouldn't pay for that anyway. I mean, TDC wouldn't pay for it. It's just a recommendation to the government.
The question is whether or not it's within your ambit. And my argument is probably not within your ambit of this board to do that.
Yeah, a few years ago, we were in West Palm Beach, they were taking property left and right.
Doesn't mean the county couldn't choose to do it. I'm just saying, could the TDC make that recommendation? Was they even within the TDC's purview of making those kind of decisions? No, because the TDC is not the entity that has the eminent domain authority. And secondly, you did say you would be paying for it. It's not how eminent domain works.
Would that, TDC wouldn't pay for that, would they?
If you say they wouldn't, we're walking three hypothetical speeds now, but let me say this. Would anybody be surprised if the Board of County Commissioners said, TDC, you told us to go do this?
No, we don't tell them.
You told us you wanted us to go do this. So we did it. And Because eminent domain actually does cost money, we have to pay the person reasonable value for the property, we can't just take it and not give them anything. Court just told us we have to pay this person $24 million. Check, please.
But you've got.
Would I see that being an argument the TDC is about to get into? Absolutely. I do. And so, I mean, am I saying that would be unreasonable? I don't know. But what would the TDC expect their role in that is? If they're not funding and if they're not providing contribution to it, where would their purview of telling the county to exercise in that domain be? I don't think it would exist absent the TDC doing that. Now, if the county were to choose to explore that option, it's there. And I'll tell you somewhat where I base that off of. We had a lot of questions. People remember this hurricane storm damage reduction thing that's still going on? All easements down there? Repeated questions for years. Is the county going to do eminent domain? Is the county going to do eminent domain? Is the county going to do eminent domain? I have never once heard the county ever intended to do eminent domain. The answer to that probably is unequivocally no. Ryan, you can interject if you've ever heard something different from any of our consultants or anything else. But the question's been asked.
No comment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. I mean, bottom line is the question's been asked, and we've had to look at it. And one of the questions that was asked was, well, if we do that, TDC is picking up the bill for this project. TDC never made that recommendation to them. TDC's position from a policy standpoint is not legal. It's not my legal opinion. It's a policy standpoint. I can tell you the TDC's out before it is. We think this is a good project. We have money set aside to fund it within our eminent statute. You're wanting to take somebody's property? Guys, hold on. That's not what we set the money aside for. We know what our position is. So, I mean, if you're changing the equation, somebody needs to back up and come back to us. And I think that's what we've always said is the TDC doesn't have a position on it because we can't. We can't go take their property. We realize we're your ear, so to speak, in the community. We're holding workshops, guys, but the TDC's not able to take that property. And we've repeatedly maintained that position. So we're asking for eminent domain. No, that would have to be something the Board of County Commissioners have to do. But unless they task the TDC with evaluating that option, I will believe it will be outside our purview. They can always ask us to provide advisory function beyond the limited statutory basis of expenditure of TDC dollars, which is our sole function. If they task us with that, maybe. If they don't task us with it, I think it would fall outside the TDC's job to just make a recommendation how the BCC does something that does not relate to the expenditure of the tourist development tax revenues. Because that's what the statute says we were there. Clear as mud?
Yeah, but
Again, that's probably like that as always. Any other questions about anything I've talked about? Here's the thing. This is a constantly evolving area of law. It is absolutely something that I do not expect anyone here to feel like they have a mastery of after today. You've got a lot of experience with it. So don't feel bad if you feel like you're in the weeds. If you feel scared, oh, I'm going to send you to jail because there's scare tactics in these sessions, so we'll be able to. I've never had a client who I have represented actually be found to have violated sunshine law, never had to jail for it, never had any of these things happen. Don't plan for any of you to move first. Use your common sense, you're going to be okay. There's a sunshine law manual called Government in the Sunshine. We have copies all over the county. I mean, we still have some here at TDC admin. You can get a copy of that. It has every legal case and attorney general opinion, broken down by topic. You can read it. If you're an insomniac, I help. The other thing I'll tell you though is call and ask a question to staff or me. Call or ask a question to staff or me. That's our job. If I don't know the answer, I'll push the answer as best as we can. Every year, I do a CLA on sunshine law, public records, and code ethics. I get a binder of that thing every year. I wish I could tell you the same stuff every year. It's not. It changes rapidly. We'll keep you up to date with anything you have to be concerned about, but asking will help. Please do so. Anything else? And I'll let y'all get on with the real business. Thank y'all guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
And so thank you, Brian. And again, sorry to take so much of your time this morning, but I appreciate your time. Thank you for serving with this committee.
it's like going to law school for free.
And it's about as fun too, I can promise you.
Okay, you ready for another sunshine presentation? No resignations? That's a good deal. All right, expectations. It's pretty simple. Come here with a positive, open mind and expect to contribute. Make all the meetings. As far as communications go, you communicate with me, make sure you communicate to Stacy via email. Very simple. If you communicate directly with Clay, please copy me on it so that we can keep it in the record. And become aware of the, if you're not aware of it, become aware of the TDC function. What is our core function here as Tourist Development Council? Become aware of our amenities. Get out in public, get out in the public areas if you haven't been there. Come to the BCC meetings if you have time. They're very informative. You can get a good idea of the pulse of the community. Come to the TDC meetings. They meet every other month. It is on the even months of the first Tuesday of each even month. So the next one is February 2nd. Is that right, Stacey?
I don't know what you're talking about.
First Tuesday in February. So come to those. Our TDC meetings last 3.5, 4 hours. They're kind of long. You have to stay all the time, but you can come and get a good idea. The first part is the presentation of financials and all that good information. Then updates on the different departments. We have beach operations, marketing, sales and events, and administrative departments. And then, of course, there's some business taken care of. So, our first order of business is going to be election of chair and vice chair. Branch, since you were the chair for the 2014-2015 term, if you'll take care of this little bit of business for us, I appreciate it. Typically do it by volunteer nominations. So you as chair, if you will take volunteer or nominations for chair, we appreciate it.
All right, anybody like to volunteer for the chairman position? Will we nominate someone for the chairman position?
Somebody want to step up?
I'll nominate Andy as the chair. I'll do it.
Accept, all right, need to have a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Vice chair.
Nominations?
I'll stand for it since
There's a
there's
volunteer
nothing to do.
nomination.
I'll nominate Bob.
Second? All in favor?
All right. Appreciate you standing up. Last bit of business is, are there any questions while we're in session? Questions, comments? Anything?
I'm a new committee member, so can you guys explain a little bit what your roles have been in the past? I mean, what your roles have been in the past as committee members?
Branch is a local contractor, so he fills that slot as a local construction company owner. And he's been our past chair. Jackie's a local concerned citizen and is very active in all of South Walton County and Baltimore, really. She has been our vice chair for the past term. Like I said, Andy, you can more about yourself. I mean, why are you here? I guess is what you're asking.
Well, no, I'm not asking why you're here. I'm just wondering what functions.
We just have a chair and a vice chair, I think, and then everybody else is, is
I mean,
part
as far
of
as the time that you put into it, is it just committee meetings or?
Well, staying involved, staying on top. I mean, the occasionally, like for the Do Like signs, they presented, we thought it was a fantastic idea. We recommended to the BCC that they do one sign at Western Lake and appoint a little intern to take traffic counts. So I think we actually stopped to see if it was a benefit to the community. Hope of one success, and then they took that and made all the other Do Lake signs. And I think that's probably from the last session one of the coolest things we did. That had the biggest impact on the destination and improving it. And then we're all very concerned about the bridges and the design charrette becoming uniform about how the signage is and or too much thereof and making it more homogeneous. So, as far as those things go, that's pretty much what we do. Outside of this, the time you put into it is pretty much your own call.
I think in a nutshell, the role you need to play is you have committed yourself as a concerned citizen to improve the destination. All right, so the way I look at it is we We have a gym here, it's a little rough, we're going to polish it. And that's our goal, is to go out and identify areas where we think we can polish it. I kind of compare it to you taking the public spaces of South Walton and elevating them into a resort community type status. You know, so one of the things that this design shred going through is, you know, let's come up with, you know, some common elements that when you arrive here, you know you're here in South Walton. You know, our logo change is part of that. I often compare it to watercolor. You know, they have different common elements in their public spaces. One, for instance, is their nice little lights. You know, you don't have to see the sign that says watercolor. You see that light, you say, oh. And so that's what we're really, I guess, our challenge is, or our mission is to just take what we got here. We already know it's a great place. And let's polish it up. You know, many years ago, there was a movement to put directional and informational signs on multi-use path. That was a polishing of the multi-use path. The multi-use path is an incredible attraction to our community. Wherever I travel outside here, and the different meetings for professional development, or just whatever, people always tell me, "Oh man, look at the bike path." And I'm like, wow, because I like the bike path. I ride bikes. It's a great connector of our 16 beach communities. And families, feel safe for kids on it, gets them off the road and all that. So, but it needs some polishing. We actually have about $650,000 worth of capital improvements on the bike path itself this year. Part of our efforts last year helped me pass a budget for FY 2016 that included an incredible leap in capital improvements for these beach amenities. And I expect to get that done again this year with y'all's help. So we identified these things, public design shred, kind of held us off a little bit on some things. But we're fixing to have that done, and we're going to have some guideline. And so I'll go, we started developing our budget. I really started in April. Then we have a couple of internal, passes, and then it goes to the with some more passes and public workshops and all that. And by mid-September, we have the budget. But so I expect for us to get early, get out, identify some areas, you see like this, for instance, your original beach access, and you recognize that our garbage cans we have, we call them big belly compactors. And you say, gosh, those are cool, or they were cool, but we need to do something different here. Those look old, they're kind of tired, and how do they work, Brian? I can expect you to hey, Brian, I saw this at Regional Beach Access. What is y'all's status on now? Or here's an idea I have. Something like that. I constantly, as I'm traveling and vacation or wherever, I look at what other communities do, and I say, gosh, that's pretty cool. I wonder how that'll fit into our community. One of the challenges we have a bunch of different groups after around this. So that's part of the challenge. That's what your role is. Get out, identify, come back with some good ideas, accept the fact that if other members might not think it's the best idea, and move on. So that's it.
Question. Who sets our agenda? Is the chair setting, or are you setting our agenda?
I make it up, but I always ask for input at the end of every meeting.
I just wondered.
Yeah.
No,
and at any time during the month, feel free to do it. Just remember that I publish the agenda 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
And but no, I expect y'all to bring stuff and make it.
Okay, cool.
In the past, I've taken a very proactive stance in it because
Yes, sure.
I'm interested in polishing this gym.
You have to give it a week. If you want to bring something to the agenda, you have to give it for the public notice.
Yeah.
Well, if he's sending it out 2 weeks before,
Right, but that's not the deadline. The cutoff is a week prior. So if you all of a sudden,
But if I'm, we can add to it. We always
Right.
have, additions and additions. But the way I look at it is, we leave the meeting. It's fresh in our mind. We thought about stuff. We talked about stuff. Go out and do it then. We don't wait until a month later. Like I said, I don't want to tell you how to do it, but that's what I think it ought to be done. I was fresh in the memory. Something's going to spur your thinking in these meetings. So just stay on. But like I say, this year I have little over $2 million in capital improvements. Next year, I expect to have more. The budget this year, overall TDC was around 19 million. My portion of it is, part of this, operations and cleaning, a big portion of it's capital improvements. And I intend to spend money. The last thing you want is a bunch of money hitting your reserves at the end of the year. You develop a budget, you spend it all, and you got zero at the end. So that's what I want to do. We got a great group. The other members that are here are very in tune with our community. And we've got an opportunity to identify, recommend, and make it happen. I've been pretty successful in getting these projects, started. It took me a year to get moving, but this past year, I said, I got very little question about that amount of money being spent on projects now here. In fact, applaud the pat on the back for getting it done. So, or getting the budget approved, and we still have a task of design and permanent construction, but to me, that's easy compared to getting the concept approved. Getting everybody on the same page. So, before we leave, Rick, Carmen, thank you for you coming on the committee. The rest of you appreciate your recommitment. And any questions, you can holler. We typically publish the meetings within a week after the meeting. They'll come to you electronically. Make notes at that point. Come back to the next meeting with any changes so we can take care of that first. So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Robert, nice to meet you.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
One last observation is we have new format on